I absolutely hate the Book of Boba Fett. Ew. Okay, not really. Just thought I'd try out some negativity for a change. That just felt weird. I don't like it. Now my teeth feel furry. Hang on, I'll be back. I have to go wash my mouth out with some bourbon at 3 a.m. Okay, I'm back. Bourbon's way better than whatever the taste that first statement left in my mouth was. Ugh. I don't see how some Star Wars fans do it. But I guess if you don't like it, you don't like it. No judgments here. Okay, enough about that crap. Where is Boba Fett in The Mandalorian Season 3? I mean, we've been to Tatooine, and there was only a mention of him by What's-Her-Face. And even though a lot of people didn't like it, I actually enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett when it was new and fresh. Wait, where are you going? Hear me out. After watching the Book of Boba Fett again and again, I did start to see some things that others were pointing out. Was I being influenced by those other comments about the Book of Boba Fett? Nah, it was just newness wearing off. I wasn't hating it the second or third time around. I just questioned some of the decisions made in the writing. Boba Fett has been my favorite Star Wars character since 1978's Star Wars Christmas Special. I was a hyperactive young chap that found calm in the Star Wars universe. I guess one could even proclaim that I was a bit odd. Maybe I still am. Before seeing Boba Fett, Darth Vader was my absolute favorite character. And the armor that stormtroopers wore made me feel like anybody could be a special nobody. Wait, that doesn't make sense. The stormtroopers just looked cool. The rebel forces not as much with their bicycle helmets. Do those helmets make the rebels run faster? Okay, I need to stop getting sidetracked. Before I get too distracted and bore you all with bad dad jokes and the Book of Boba Fett, a quick word from our sponsor. Yep, it's me. I pay the bills. I supply all the equipment. I'm the sponsor. Anyways, hit the subscribe button and give the video a big stupid thumbs up. I'm on a voyage to hit this 50,000 subscriber mark, and I'd like you all to be a part of that journey. I know every freaking YouTube channel asks for your subscription, but mine's special. Why? Because it's freaking Star Wars, baby. And I absolutely promise to deliver on my word. With me, you'll get the best Star Wars content YouTube has to offer, and I'll deliver it in a fun way that's engaging. And all original content. No rehashes of what other channels talk about. So subscribe and like, and let's embark on this most excellent adventure together. Okay, let's get to it. The Empire Strikes Back released in 1980, and there he was, another villain. Not just any antagonist, but the coolest looking character to hit sci-fi, well, ever. Yeah, Darth Vader was a badass and looked cooler than anyone before him. Dude could choke people without touching them, and even choked one guy through a TV.
Didn't know I could choke you through the TV, did you? But I can.
But this Boba Fett dude just seemed more real, and you know how I likes to keep it real. Then Return of the Jedi released in 1983, and he didn't just stand around looking cool. Boba Fett fired up his jetpack. I ran home and got out my Boba Fett action figure, without the J slot. Bummer. I reenacted the scenes from The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, all but the part where Boba Fett gets knocked into the Sarlacc by a clumsy Han Solo. In my version, Boba Fett kicked Han Solo into the pit. Take that, George Lucas. Fast forward many moons and many seasons. The Book of Boba Fett is announced. Thank the Star Wars gods that I didn't die of old age before this happened. The most popular character in Star Wars history was getting his own show, and from what we saw of him in The Mandalorian Season 2, this show was promising. Then it released. And though there were some elements and themes of the Book of Boba Fett that were really good, there was one thing that some people couldn't get over. Yeah, the scooter gang was a bit cringy, but it didn't really ruin the show for me, nor did it ruin Boba Fett as a character. But I'm not even going to talk about that right now. The biggest thing that had the potential to ruin the show and Boba Fett himself for a lot of Star Wars fans was that he seemed to look weak. This was a stark contrast to what Boba Fett had been in the past, the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy getting punked by idiots. He was a badass before. What happened? Not even the distant past. In recent years, the Bounty Hunter comics and the War of the Bounty Hunter comic series showed a badass Boba Fett who wasn't afraid to light our favorite Wookiee on fire. Yeah, that was a bit disturbing to see. Poor Chewbacca. So much hair. So much hairspray. The smell must have been unbearable. Don't worry, Chewbacca was fine, after some hormone therapy and some hair plugs. Then there was the Legends material of yesteryear that had Boba Fett even become the Mandalor. Talk about a top-tier character, but the Book of Boba Fett was different, and I wondered, why make him seem weak? Does Dave Filoni just hate this guy? Turns out Dave Filoni is not a Boba Fett fan. Shame on you, Dave. I feel like you spat in the face of Boba Fett fans with that statement. But wait, Boba Fett wasn't really weak at all. If you look surface level and you look for things to be wrong with any Star Wars movie or show, you're going to find it. Nothing in Star Wars has been perfectly written, even under George Lucas. Remember Caravan of Courage? So I had to get out of this mindset. I still liked the Book of Boba Fett, but I didn't love it. His new look was really cool, but his actions weren't matching it. Oh wait, but yes they were. And for some reason I refused to accept that Boba Fett was a weak leader. I couldn't put my finger on the reason until yesterday. A comment from one of our own viewers summed it up perfectly. Indiana Holmes showed me the reason why Boba Fett wasn't actually weak, so I took Indiana Holmes' thoughts and I expanded on them. Let's take a look at why we thought Boba Fett was weak to begin with. Where to start? Well, the first introduction was the Boba Fett allowed Mayor Makshais' Major Domo, Dumbass, whatever, to walk out with all his limbs intact in their first meeting. If any one of us were in the Star Wars universe, this guy would have had his tongue pulled from his mouth. Okay, that's a bit severe. Maybe we would have just tattooed "I love orange chicken" on his forearm in Chinese characters. Then there was the meeting with the heads of all the crime syndicates of Mos Espa. Boba requested they join him in helping to eliminate the Pikes from the planet. They refused, and Boba Fett said, "Okay." But he made them swear to stay out of any incursions. They agreed, and we all thought, wait, you're just going to let them leave? Your freaking Rancor is probably hungry, and Danny Trejo wouldn't mind watching it feed on the bodies of unfortunate souls. But alas, all the guests departed without so much as a bad tattoo. I guess that interaction was really the biggest thing that could have ruined the show for a lot of people. But now we can go back and look at the Boba Fett a bit differently. The rose-colored glasses are off, and it's been a year. But instead of the series getting worse, as some things do over time, the show actually starts to make a lot more sense when you look at it in the right way. And Boba Fett's weakness actually turns into a strong case for this man being more Mandalorian than even Boba Fett would admit. Respect, honor, loyalty. Boba Fett had seen what happens to people close to him when he does things his old way. Remember the train heist? Boba and his Tusken family stopped the Pike Syndicate train and even killed a lot of them before sending the Pike couriers back to their leader with a message. Don't F with us, and we won't F with you. But the Pikes did. When Boba returns from his meeting with Phil Lamar, the Pike leader, his entire Tusken village was dead. With a well-placed emblem on a tent, Boba was led to believe it was the Hells Angels Starter Club. You know, the Nikto biker gang. What does Boba Fett do? He gets his ship back and hunts them down and kills them all in cold blood as his first priority. This doesn't look weak to me. No well-placed embarrassing tattoo either. He rained death upon them, then shrugged it off as if it was his nature.
Killing is my business, ladies, and business is good.
But this character trait seemed to diminish when Boba Fett takes over as daimyo of Mos Espa. Or does it? Nuh-uh. Well, at first glance, yes, Boba Fett had made the decision to fight the Pikes from the moment he helped the Tuskens stop the train shipping the spice. Spice, a drug. And that's something Boba Fett never had a tolerance for, along with slavers and slave traders such as Bib Fortuna. His goal was to run them out of town, but it wasn't until Cad Bane had revealed that it was actually the Pikes who killed Boba Fett's Tusken family. It was this moment when Boba Fett decided Cad Bane and the head of the Tatooine Pike Syndicate would pay for their actions with their blood, feeding the flora and fauna that was to come to Tatooine from their rotting corpses. He actually said this. Okay, I'm paraphrasing, but this was pretty much what he had the major dumbass tell the Pikes. That doesn't seem weak. We know the man can back that up. When the heads of the other crime families showed their betrayal outwardly, they gave up the respect Boba Fett had once offered them. He originally asked them to join him. When they refused, he respectfully asked them to stay out of the way when the poop hit the fan. He showed them respect by allowing them to leave his place unharmed. I really wish he would have tattooed someone. It was a missed opportunity. He demanded the respect he gave to them by way of them not getting involved. When they showed their true intentions, his respect was over, and it was also time for their existence to end. And when the time was right, Boba Fett sent his assassin to end them, all of them, and they wouldn't be getting a humiliating tattoo. Seriously, come on, you couldn't have just tattooed on them, I love orange chicken and Chinese characters. That would have been hilarious. All right. Boba Fett offered respect, honor, and loyalty to each party involved. He granted them the same that he was asking for by letting them live in their first interactions. These are Mandalorian ideals, something taught to him by his father, Jango Fett. When his trust was broken, Boba Fett saw the verbal contract as being terminated. When he saw they had hired Cad Bane, it drove the nail further. A lot of Star Wars fans say that should have been Boba Fett to kill the heads of the families and the Pike Syndicate. But let's look at it in real-world terms. When two mafias have a war, do the Dons go out and commit the murders themselves? No, they send assassins or hitmen. But the death blow is still regarded as coming from the leader of the opposing family. It's the same case in the Book of Boba Fett. Even though it was Fennec Shand to kill the betrayers, the hit came from Boba Fett. And they knew this. They didn't care who pulled the trigger, tightened the noose, or drove the knife in. It came from Boba Fett. He is no longer the hitman. He's the one ordering the hits. As a childish schoolyard taunt, Cad Bane told Boba Fett he was getting soft in his old age for not dueling at that moment. Later, Cad Bane was killed by Boba Fett, not at a distance with a blaster, up close and personal with a stab to the chest, as Boba Fett looked into Cad Bane's dying eyes. That's cold-blooded. Look, even I originally thought the Boba Fett seemed a bit weak in his own show. But why? Because he wasn't acting the way I thought he should act as a bounty hunter? He isn't a bounty hunter anymore. He's the leader of a syndicate. At the end of the Book of Boba Fett, he even says that he isn't cut out for this. He didn't mean not cut out to lead. He had shown he has what it takes to lead. They won the war. He meant he isn't cut out to be swooned upon with niceties. He was actually successful in his goal. He took over Jabba's crime syndicate and rid the planet of the others, leaving him the sole daimyo. That hardly seems weak. No, he displayed his Mandalorian upbringing. He just wasn't quick to start killing everyone who told him no right away. And I think that's what a lot of people wanted. It actually takes a strong will to practice restraint in those moments. Now, I'm not saying there weren't goofy parts of the Book of Boba Fett, quite the opposite. The Scooter Gang in general, and that includes the spin move, was cringy. But it wasn't the entire story. And if you were wondering how Chrysanthemum healed so quickly, in the comics it shows he is cybernetically enhanced. He was a pit fighter, and his benefactors put a lot into making Chrysanthemum the champion and keeping him there. And yes, those comics were written prior to the Book of Boba Fett's release. Then there's the 2 episodes taken away from Boba Fett's story. All of it could have been summed up in 5 to 10 minutes. I know a lot of Star Wars fans love it when Luke Skywalker shows up in any Star Wars show, but I just felt he didn't belong here. Maybe in the Ahsoka series or something. When asked about it, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni said Din Djarin's 2-episode decision was just because they couldn't wait to get back to his story. Well, this wasn't supposed to be his story. I don't know. I'm not mad about it. I just feel like this time could have been better used to give Boba Fett the proper treatment. While the Scooter Gang was horribly out of place, the technology they enhanced their skills with was not. When Fennec Shand showed up again in The Mandalorian Season 2 after she had been shot in the stomach by that one idiot, we wondered, how? Does everyone in Star Wars come back to life? But showing how Boba Fett took Fennec Shand to the same street doctor who was performing those modifications made her return make more sense. They could have just left the youths out of the rest of the show. But it is what it is. Robert Rodriguez added his own flair. All directors and writers do that. When it boils down to it, Boba Fett is Mandalorian through and through. He's either in denial or really wants no part of their warring culture. He has his own issues to deal with. But he's learning that the Mandalorian culture is one of honor, respect, and loyalty, as he saw with Din Djarin. Mando put his life on the line and that of his son to help Boba Fett in a time of need. One of the tenets of the Mandalorian Creed, or Rezulnari, is to aid the Mandalore when called upon. I still believe Boba Fett can live up to his legend character, and I think it's very possible that Boba Fett could still become that Mandalore in The Mandalorian. I know a lot of you won't buy what I'm selling. You're not going to pick up what I'm putting down, and that's okay. You're entitled to your opinions, and I respect that. This is just how I came to terms with the Book of Boba Fett. But I challenge you all to go back and watch it again with an open mind. If your opinion is the same, that's great. I'd still love to hear your thoughts on the show. Just be respectful, and I'll be respectful in return. So leave a comment, tell me what you like about the Book of Boba Fett or what you don't like. That's about all I have for today. I know I make a lot of jokes and can get long-winded, but that's my real personality, and I'm keeping it realer than ever before. Before we go, another quick word from our sponsor, me. Hit the subscribe button and give the video a like. I'm really trying to hit 50,000 subscribers, and I'd like you all to be a part of that next phase of this channel. The YouTube algorithm is more difficult than trying to understand why Slim Pickens made everyone go back and get a poop load of dimes. But together, we can conquer this YouTube algorithm.
Somebody's got to go back and get a shitload of dimes.
Thank you all for hanging out with me today. Until the next video, this is Gerald, a Star Wars fanatic, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Thank you all for watching, and remember, this is the way, and positivity in the Star Wars community should be the only way.